are concerned. Some of you are passionate supporters of Amnesty International, and their yearly survey was just published this week. It cites Canada. We see ourselves as a bastion nation for human rights. Amnesty International cites Canada for its failure to protect Native girls and women who are killed or vanish at a startling rate. In other words, what happened to Tori Stafford in Woodstock, Ontario, is happening at an alarming rate to Native girls and women across our country, but we don't hear about that. The report also warns that the almost tunnel vision of world leaders right now surrounding our economic woes is abetting and aiding human rights atrocities on a horrific scale. Amnesty's secretary, Irene Khan, said in a statement, "From Gaza to Darfur and from the DRC to northern Sri Lanka, the human toll of conflict has been horrendous. And the lukewarm response of the international community, that's us, shocking. Ignoring one crisis to focus on another is a recipe for aggravating both." End of quote. Satan and his demons are at work in our world, but mostly they prefer to be unseen. They're content to work through people and through situations that promote chaos and suffering. Which means that that which we fear is really not the chief thing to fear. That which we protect ourselves against is not necessarily the chief thing to protect ourselves against. This principle is powerfully illustrated in a clip from The Fellowship of the Ring, which is the first movie in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I want you to check it out. So here Frodo and his companions are traveling through the mines of Moria, a dismal, God-forsaken place where enemies abound. And the Fellowship had hoped to travel through these mines unnoticed by the orcs and the enemies who lived there, but through typical hobbit curiosity and clumsiness, made its presence known to everything and everyone in the mines. And so the orcs that inhabit the mines, the bad guys, they come and they surround the Fellowship and they prepare to kill them. So the physical realities that Frodo and his companions fear include these orcs, and earlier a troll, and and they include goblins and so forth, wicked wizards and so forth. These are flesh and blood enemies that they could touch and perchance defeat, at least with a sword or a well-placed arrow. But in addition to facing this physical reality that they can see, this reality of orcs and enemies, everyone in this scene at this moment is given a glimpse into a spiritual reality very rarely seen, into a being that Gandalf himself, Gandalf the wise wizard, calls a demon. And as powerfully illustrated in this clip, the demon is so feared that every creature, orc, dwarf, elf, man, wise wizard, every creature flees at its appearing. Friends, that which we fear is often not the thing to fear. Now, long before Peter Jackson ever put this to film, this principle, the Apostle Paul wrote these words: "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood," the things that you and I can see and touch. Our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. This past Friday, Hollywood's latest installment of horror centered on the theme of the demonic came out. The movie's titled, Drag Me to Hell. In the movie, according to the trailer, loan officer Christine Brown wants the assistant manager role in the bank that she's working at. And so she resorts to cutthroat tactics and denies an elderly gypsy woman her third extension on a mortgage. Well, the elderly gypsy places a curse on Christine, guaranteeing that in 3 days a demon will arrive that will drag her to hell. Hoping to avoid such a terrible fate, Christine seeks first the help of a psychic, and then she goes to a medium, only to discover that nothing can save her. I don't know about you, but personally, I don't think I'll be spending the $8.75 to see Drag Me to Hell. First, and this is personally, I'm not a big fan of horrors. As I just spoke of, I think there are enough horrors happening in the world in which I live that I'm aware of, that for my entertainment, I don't need to be exposed to more horror. Second, the movie makes light of psychics and mediums, but these, along with fortune tellers and Ouija boards, are things that I personally am unwilling to take lightly. See, usually people who turn to those avenues for answers or for life direction or for insights, they're what? They're desperate. And as desperate people, they're vulnerable. And as intelligent beings, Satan and his demons know this, and I personally believe they utilize these avenues as portals into people's lives. They utilize those avenues as portals into people's lives. And you may think I sound hypersensitive, and I don't care, because I want to take my cue from Scripture, which says, 1 Peter 5 verse 8, "Be careful. Watch out for attacks from the devil, your great enemy. He prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for some victim to devour. Stand firm against him and be strong in your faith." And I believe the more credit or leniency I give the devil or forces of evil in this universe, the more that I become dull to the power of God in this world and in my life, the more I become dull to his spiritual direction, the more I become dull of hearing, which leads to hardness of heart. And I'm personally going to do all that I can in my life to keep that from happening to me. Do you guys want some demon stories? You do, don't you?